Hello, hello, and welcome to Paint Minis Live. I'm your host, Bill T. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a special guest that I'm going to bring in the studio very shortly here. We have Lawrence from Dirty Basement Terrain. I've seen his work in person at Claricon, and let me tell you, it's absolutely stunning. I can't wait to kind of talk shop with him and I guess just see what he's been up to or what he's got planned in the future. And we're just going to kind of do a bit of that tonight. In other news, PML has kind of brokered a bit of a deal with a new 3D printing studio down here in Minneapolis. They've been in business for a little while, but they're called Daedalus Studios. And so I had a chance to meet with the owner and his lovely wife and have a chat. And they've agreed to supply Paint Minis Live with minis, and they have really cool minis and a ton of minis that they can print. So be on the lookout for more information on that deal as it keeps going here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Lawrence in without further ado. Now that we've gone through our kind of company news stuff, and yeah, we'll go ahead and say hey. What's going on, Laz, Earthman? Hey, Lawrence, how's
Hey,
it
how's it
going?
going, man?
It's going good. It's going good. It looks like Laz is how dirty we talking? Laz is already on the right track with Dirty Basement Terrain, I see. Mm. And so is Earthman too.
Pretty dirty.
How's it going, Dungeon Minister? We got a whole bunch of folks funneling into the chat. Um well, hey, I guess he's
Wedding
officiating a
couple.
wedding,
Why?
so that's
Oh,
fun.
wedding. Ooh.
So Lawrence, can you tell us a bit about Dirty Basement Terrain, who you are, what you do? Just a brief overview of what Dirty Basement Terrain is.
I mean, it really, it's just my crafts that I've been doing for years and years and years through various games and whatnot. Always mainly role playing games, but it's just a matter. I've always been crafting, even pre-channel, and then eventually, after some encouragement from other people, threw up that I started doing the channel, and the name came from because I'm in a basement, it's dirty, and I make terrain. But
Right, right.
it was just a matter of turning the camera on while I'm crafting and doing some simple voiceovers. So my crafts tend to have a little bit of a sick twist to it, but
As I've seen. Like how long have you been crafting or like, on that scene
over
doing
30
your thing?
years.
30 years. Wow. And like how did it start? Was it something that's been in your family doing something similar
Oh
or
no, it started because I'm cheap,
that's
and
not a bad way to start something for sure.
I wanted terrain for my home tables, and I wasn't about to pay the exorbitant fees for what amounted to a plastic hill with fake grass taped on it.
Right, for sure. Okay. And but that
So
was
I
for
mean,
30 years. That's quite a while.
well,
um
a lot of the techniques I learned, as far as crafting terrain. I mean, this is pre YouTube and internet, so there were no how to
mm,
videos,
right, right.
and a lot of the stuff I learned were from local fellow gamers at my local game store. And a lot of techniques I learned initially came from model railroaders.
Gotcha. Yeah, they're like really the OG, I guess, painting minis slash terrain nuts, right? The model
Well, yeah,
railroaders. They have some great stuff.
especially when you consider it's like most of the products we use, and I still currently use, is for initially designed for model railroading, like Woodland Scenics. All their stuff is for are initially done for model railroading, so
Yeah, for sure.
And
I've
companies that
used
we have like huge miniatures and whatnot.
yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've used some of the Woodland Scenics products in the past, mainly like their plaster cast stuff or like their molds, and I really had a good time with it. It was a super slick and easy thing. I think I have most of their terrain stuff is like down to a science. Kind of expensive though for a company,
Yeah,
not gonna lie. Yeah, they charge quite a bit. Um, but okay, cool. And so has your style kind of evolved as, with the advent of the internet and learning new techniques and things like that? What
yeah.
has kind of
Oh,
changed
absolutely. I mean,
since the start of it?
yeah. I mean, there are lots of different techniques I picked up off of from the internet. I mean, how to make my own washes, all the different tools that I used. I mean, before when I first started, I was basically using an X-Acto blade and whatever I could to cut my foam and stuff. I got a prop found with all the different attachments to it. Terrain. I'm not gonna be using like I'm not gonna grab my Vallejo paints and throw it on terrain. It's like how to what colors cheap craft paints is like because I am cheap.
Well, plus
But
you have
again,
so much more
my
coverage to do, right? Just the
yeah,
economics of it as well. Like you need to spread that out over a large distance. Me, I'm doing a tiny little face. You're doing an entire, board or a set of mushroom things. You know,
yeah, oh yeah,
gotcha,
absolutely.
gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. And so as it's evolved with new tools and various things like do you have any examples to show us from early dirty basement or like maybe there's something new that you could point out techniques that you've kind of learned over the years
Well,
that might not be packed
all
up?
my early stuff, yeah, a lot of it's packed up, and
Gotcha,
or
okay, all
I
right,
don't have it anymore. I've either
gotcha.
don't have it anymore, given it away, or it's packed up. Um, but like early, some of my early stuff, it would just be I was just learning how to dry brush terrain, and
Mm,
it just looks. I recently was in my local game store and I saw pieces that I had done like 15 years ago, and I was like, oh my god, that garbage,
gotcha.
hot garbage compared to what I'm putting out now. It's just a matter of over time, practice and refining your techniques, and it's like it just gets better over time, and there's
Yeah,
no other better teacher than experience.
for sure,
I mean, you
for
can
sure.
watch all the.
Were
In all
you
honesty, you can watch all the YouTube videos you want, and they'll show you the techniques. But until you actually do them yourselves multiple times, you know,
right, right? Were you
I'm
ever in
still.
business at one point? I
I mean,
just
I'm
out of
still using the
curiosity.
same some of the same like 10, 15 years ago, but the refinement of those techniques has just grown over with experience.
Mm, yeah,
That's like
yeah. Were you
it's
ever
something I did. No, well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask, like, were you ever in business doing this at one point? I vaguely remember you talking about maybe like trying to sell like BattleTech terrain. I believe at one
Yeah,
point. Like, were
yeah.
you doing that? Was that a thing?
I burned out on it. I mean, it got
Mm,
um some hex terrain. I was selling hand over fist and just so burnt out on it that I won't even make a hex again ever. I mean, it got to
gotcha.
the point where all I was
But
doing
you still
was
find,
go to work, get up, go to work, get my gate, get home, make hex terrain, go to bed, and rinse and repeat. That was my life, day after day after day. And it's just like, yeah. Then one day I said, I'm done. I'm never making another one again. Though I did get really
I
good
can
at
definitely.
it.
There you go. I can definitely see how you could get really good really quick doing that, but yeah, the just the repetitive machine stamp nature of it. I tend to have a little bit
Yep.
of trouble on army sizes that are over like 30. That's like kind of the top for
Yeah.
me right now is like 30 minis because after that doing the same rubber stamp paint job and making it uniform is yeah, it gets tough. It gets you want to do something different at that point, you know?
Yep. I mean, back in
Yeah.
the day when I played Warhammer Fantasy, I played a Night Goblin army. So,
So to
painting, all those Night Goblins, oh, I hated it.
right. And you still you said you still find your old stuff at local gaming shops like, is it do people ever wonder who it came from and they like eventually find out it's you, they come and pick your brain?
Generally, I don't really visit the game store much anymore. So, but occasionally, my local game store, I'll get a question on on my game store's Discord, and I'll answer because I'll still post the pics of whatever I've made on their Discord, but on a rare occasion, I'll get asked, and then I'll just like I'll try and answer them as much as I can, and then I'll also post a link to whatever video I did it from.
Nice. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. I dig it. Um so I got a chance to see some of your work when I was at Claricon and
Hmm.
man Lawrence was it's so strange and I don't know if you have this sense too but like when you see something through the lens of a camera or like on the screen and you're like that looks pretty good and you're
Yep.
like wow that's it's impressive and then you go and actually see it with your naked eye, your work is really freaking good, man. Like
Thank you.
it's really good. And just they the minister had this all of your works out on like the silent auction and the stuff that was going to be auctioned off and like I got a chance to take a look at that. It's really well done. I mean it and so like can you talk me through just the painting process because I'm the paint nerd here, like what's the painting process that you usually go through for most of your stuff?
Most of my stuff, the painting process is pretty well cookie cutter, to be honest. I generally go with like three, three. I'll pick out any specific color, and hold on a second.
Uh-oh, we're in for a treat. We get to see some cool stuff.
Like this
Oh,
house I
the
built.
dollhouse, is it the dollhouse build?
This was actually a wooden house from Michael's that I picked up after Halloween.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can see right there is the bottom of it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But it was too short, so I made it longer too. But anyway, now the tiles are like like a deep red, so I'll just go grab three different shades of red and then do the base color, an overbrush, and then a light dry brush, and
Mm,
then I'll give it like a dark brown wash, and then I'll go over it with the lightest color for another highlight dry brush, and then that's it. I mean, in all honesty, and that's pretty well much how it is for all the colors.
okay, gotcha.
I
So
use
you're
three shades and rinse and repeat. But
gotcha.
again, it's practice techniques over years. Some of it's the same technique, but occasionally I'll try different things, like the chimney here. It's like most people will just paint their stonework gray, but you got to pick out different stone, add a few different colors just to pop the visual interest.
Right, for sure. And it's
Otherwise,
interest right. Yeah, it's interesting to me how you're following some pretty traditional painting techniques like whether it's
yeah,
on canvas or with models or whatever, the triad color, pick shadow, midtone, light, that's uh pretty
yeah,
standard like you're talking about. And then, adding some visual distinction with alternate colors that are still within, because you've got like a brown on there, but you've
Yep.
chosen on that chimney to make that other brick be kind of a similar color brown. It seems like,
Yeah.
as well on top of that gray. Um, so yeah, that's really cool how you're incorporating some similar colors in there to make the like composition of it come together. That's that's pretty sick.
And also I want to make the terrain, scatter terrain or whatever piece, playable. I mean, I don't do playable interiors, but I have seen some of the most drop dead gorgeous tables that were completely unplayable because they did not take into account playability. So I'm
Can
trying,
you talk a
I
little bit more about that and like what makes playability in these spaces?
can you get your hands into that area? Can the miniatures stand on it if they need to? Can you actually move around without knocking everything over? Like I said, I
Yeah,
saw a drop dead gorgeous table that was absolutely unplayable because they did not take into account the human factor.
right. Okay. I one point I want to make with that. I my terrain building experience, and I do actually have a little bit of terrain building experience, not a ton, but I did make one 4x8 board, so larger than your average wargaming board, but in the actual playable dimension was much smaller. And the
Yep.
board was absolutely beautiful. I made essentially a large mountain range on one part of the board. So if you were to make it kind of hot dog style,
Yeah.
about a quarter of the board was this mountain range with a very nice waterfall that was falling down, and I made a waterfall out of the Woodland Scenics water products between a
Right.
nice little river that went through the middle, and then waterfall thing that was that you'd peel off of the parchment paper. I used that kind of technique, but and I went through and did the flocking and the painting and the all the other kind of somewhat rudimentary railroad skills that just like you, yeah, the railroad guys definitely have it down. But one thing I didn't take into account was that it was just a little bit too small for wargaming.
Yeah.
So the board really didn't get used all that much until like Kill Team came out, and they had the smaller, more skirmish, like
Yep.
4 to 8 man kind of things. And then all of the sudden it was like everybody's favorite board. But
Yeah.
it didn't get used for years. And it was one of those things that didn't really click for me. It was like, man, I want to do it. And I did it. And then it just collected dust. It was that playability aspect of it is pretty big. And if I were to go back and do it all over again, I wish I had heard that sentence right there that you said. Do your or the sentences, the points that you just made. Can you put your hand in it? Can they traverse it? Will they fall over?
Yeah.
That's huge. That's
It,
absolutely
it,
huge.
it's the whole aesthetics versus playability scale, and you want to make it look interesting enough that it'll catch people, but you basically want the eye candy to be good enough that people will look. But
Hmm.
then if you can't take it so high that it okay that looks pretty, you got a really big 4x8 display piece.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what's in store for some of the future stuff with Dirty Basement? You got any plans or anything that's in the
Um,
works?
my plans are I really don't make plans. I mean, I have a sketchbook I have a small book that I keep while me, if I'm at work and then an idea pops into my head, I'll just kind of like give a rough sketch of it. But honestly, other than that, I do not plan my builds out.
Okay,
I was like, when I made this house, I really had no plans. I mean, I just started slapping stuff onto it until it came out with its end product.
gotcha.
I mean,
What?
I I like to do what I call scatterbrain technique, where you start your project, you have a general idea, but it usually changes all the entire time I'm making it. I'm constantly changing how it looks.
Gotcha. Gotcha. By the way, it seems like there's just a little bit of lag going on. So if I jump in early, just feel free to run over me. you know, I uh but just a heads up for you. I can't
Okay,
figure out if it's restream or what's going on, but it looks like there's just a
might be
little bit.
me.
So I don't mean to interrupt by any means. Just being polite. Um so yeah, what kind of what is your general toolbox look like? Because I've seen you use so many different things on your streams, like just some really outlandish stuff, but like what's the main toolbox for you when you're just the building part of it, not the painting, but like the building part? What's in your toolbox?
My Proxon. I mean, if I'm working with foam, my Proxon is my favorite tool. uh, then of course, there's my Olfa knife.
That looks deadly.
Uh, that's just, I mean, as far as the building itself, that and a number two pencil. Those are my three main tools, really. I mean,
Okay.
you can see right here, I've got like cups and cups of tools that I can use, but I
Right.
generally only grab like maybe four or five of them. Everything else is just like every once in a great while I'll use.
Right, right. The very few use case scenarios you got to
Hmm.
pull X, Y, and Z out. Okay.
But I don't
What
want to put
about
them
like
away because
sure, sure. What about like material wise? I mean, I know you use the wire cutter. Like, is there specific kinds of foam that you use, or what kind of materials?
I mean I know there's you'll get on and it's like this, like pink foam is better than blue foam or green foam and all this other stuff. And it's like I get my foam out of the dumpster, so I really don't care. But I my go to though is the green foam that seems to be prevalent here in the U.S. at I think Home Depot or is it Lowe's? And it doesn't matter. One of the big box hardware stores. But again, I pull mine out of the dumpsters.
Sure, sure. Is it like green foam like those floral designers use? Is that
No, that's floral foam. I use
oh, totally
green
different thing.
XPS.
Okay.
Um, hold on a second here. I use this.
Okay, okay. So it is basically insulation foam. It's just green.
Yeah.
Some, yeah, gotcha. Cool, cool. Because when you said green, my mind instantly jumped to that floral foam stuff, and it was like, yeah, yeah. How about like, yeah, Earthman brick brings up a good point. How about like found materials? How much of the stuff is just when you're going out and finding your materials? How much of it is found that you just didn't even think to bring into the project?
Well, every last bit of foam I have, I got out of a dumpster, or
So it's all
it's
found.
garbage. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I know Earthman Burke just loves his found materials, especially zip tie. I know he's a big zip tie fan, but uh, I think I made the joke with him the other night. Is like I don't think he has ever done a bill without a zip tie included somewhere.
Nice. Well, everybody's got
But
to have their calling card, right?
oh, absolutely. But yeah, yeah, I generally don't use a whole lot of found materials other than the foam.
Hmm.
But I'm definitely not against it. If I see something cool outside, it's like, yeah, I can use that. Throw it in the oven. Yeah, I use wood chips like for stone, kind of like on the base here for the giant that I'm
Oh,
kind of
nice.
currently working on. But yeah, I don't use many found materials, honestly. Oh,
So you kind
I
of,
used to
when you've
go to
got the plan going, you kind of go do and, have a bill of materials that like, yeah, I need some plastic plant stuff, or, this thing, and once you have that idea, it's just go from there.
Yeah. I mean, I used to get a lot of materials from the Dollar Tree, but they over the past year they just went. So Temu
Yeah,
has been a
yeah.
good place to find stuff.
Nice, nice. All right, all right. Um, I know you also kind of dabble with some toys too. Like some of your
Yeah.
builds end up being like hacked up toys. Like where and we're getting to the point where we got to talk about the baby dolls, but I don't think we're quite there yet. Like so how is it just is it the uh quick kind of quick start skeleton to some of your builds that the toys are used for, or is it just like you see it and then it sparks the inspiration for the rest of the build? Like how do you kind of select those things?
I mean, I'm a Gen Xer child of the '80s,
Hmm.
so I'm growing up with movies like Friday the 13th, Hell, and my personal favorite, the Hellraiser series. And the one image from one of those movies was a baby doll wrapped up in barbed wire moving around. That image has never left my head.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So I definitely lean towards the macabre.
Sure, sure, that kind of grim dark style really suits you for sure, and it shows in your work. It's like just macabre enough to be palatable. If I were to
Yeah.
introduce a little tot to it, it wouldn't be it would be a little creepy, but it's not
They would go, ew.
right. Yeah, 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 for sure. But it's not unpalatable to the littles
Yeah.
of the world
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. It's like, I mean, I wouldn't exactly put my stuff on display in a kindergarten class, but
Right, right, for sure, for sure.
I mean, I do like gore and horror and all that, stuff. But then when you get into the point of like body horror and stuff like that, then I tend to like, no, it's a little far for even me.
Sure, sure. And I've seen a decent amount of your stuff, not like all of it. I mean, I think
Yeah,
as much as I try to keep a pulse on the finger of everybody that's part of PML, and I'm gonna do the shameless plug. I hope you don't mind, but Lawrence from Dirty Basement Terrain is an affiliate of PML, and you've got an affiliate link. So anybody out there watching in the replay or that's in the live chat, go and find Lawrence's uh, PML affiliate link and go and support him. He gets approximately 10% of the sale, and yeah, you can get something physical in your hand for supporting his work. Uh, Plug aside, I've seen a decent amount of your work, and I have to ask, like, uh, uh, do you do any sci-fi stuff too, or is it mainly fantasy and kind of those things?
my bread and my bread and butter is fantasy. I build for what I'm currently playing.
Mm. And what is that?
So basically RP, D&D style RPGs right now. Um, for a while, I was playing. I did do a bunch of Star Wars Legion terrain when I was playing that, but the scene for my area just went, and I didn't really feel like driving 25 miles just for a game.
Right, right. I think that affects a lot of what we do in the hobby. I guess between just from one creator to another, like
Yeah,
if all of the sudden I had a whole bunch of 40K people in here, yeah, I would still do D&D, but like I think I would maybe pivot to kind of try and teach painting to that group too.
yeah,
And I
oh
could,
yeah,
just like you said, driving 25 miles for a game, that's brutal. That's brutal
yeah.
just to get your fix.
I'll
So,
drive 25 miles to a convention, but not to my hand. Well, otherwise, no.
right, right. Star Wars Legions, man, they almost had me. It was like the army. They almost had me at a certain point, and then all of a sudden Fantasy Flight kind of flopped over. That whole
Yeah.
shenanigans was fun.
With X-wing and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily they're still supported by, I believe I think it's Renegade Studio. Is it Renegade?
Oh, I have no idea.
But there's a company, I think it's a subsidiary of Asmodee that picked them up. So I mean, it's still supported out there. It's unfortunate that some people dumped it in your area, but I know it's still around. They're still producing anyways.
Yeah, like I said, if I wanted to drive, over an hour for a game, I could still play, but I was just like, eh. I mean, I had pretty well much just given up on the whole board gaming scene after um, Games Workshop flushed down. I think what killed it for me for quite a while was Games Workshop Warhammer Fantasy around 6th and 7th edition. They had done a price increase and then said that we will absolutely not do another price increase for the rest of the year. 6 weeks later, they jacked up their prices.
No.
And they said, this is not a price increase, this is a price adjustment.
Yeah,
And then
right.
every last person who was playing the Warhammer Fantasy in that store is just like, we quit. We're done.
Oof. That's rough. That's rough. Especially when you invest in it too. That's
Yeah.
like the worst. Losing all
I
of
had
the people that
I
you
had
played
4
the
fully
game with.
painted armies.
Right. Right. Um So I think maybe now would be a good time to talk about the baby doll in the room. And I know you were talking about like how you had the scene from this movie that you had watched where the baby doll wrapped in barbed wire was quite like a big kind of cornerstone in some of this. Like
Yeah.
baby dolls, man. Talk me through it. Just talk me through it. I gotta know. It's such a unique thing, so have at it.
Um, I'd always had a fascination with taking, something happy and cute and just twisting it to the most bizarre and disturbing whatever.
Right?
I I grew up on a farm. So, we raised animals to eat them. So,
Hmm.
blood and guts is nothing to me.
Right. Okay.
Um, so, but then I got into like I said, the horror movies. It's like Friday the 13th and a little bit of Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. Then the one that really grabbed my attention, the Hellraiser series. At least parts 1 through 4 are good. The rest of them, but it was just the way that Clyde Barker is a giant influence on me as far as the horror genre goes. It was the way the way he would take. I don't know how to describe it, but he would take the grotesque but make it beautiful.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like with the
So
Cenobites, and but I takes like something cute and fluffy and oh so cuddly and just turn it into something like the most disturbing crap I can think of.
sure. Sure. Yeah. And it definitely is like, um, I mean, how many baby dolls do you have on hand? Some of these builds, you've got like 8 or 9, like, well, maybe not 8 or 9, but you've got like 4 baby doll heads that are just chilling on there. And I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Oh, screen time, screen time, screen time.
I mean, my
Oh, yeah,
DM
the
screen alone.
DM board. That's right. I almost totally forgot about that. Oh, that's great. Yeah, there's more than 9 baby doll heads on there. Look at that thing. That is beautiful.
I mean,
Oh,
that's what, one,
man.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, 21 baby dolls were used to make this.
That is so cool. I mean, how do you get them? Is there a place you go to just get the raw baby dolls, or do you just like, where do you
The
source
small baby
these?
doll, the small baby dolls, I used to go to the Dollar Tree to get them.
Hmm, okay.
This one is actually from an old line of collectible dolls called Living Dead Dollies
Oh, nice. Okay.
that I picked up on clearance at Spencer's Gift back in the day, and it sat in a box for years and years and years. And then, of course, there's the real maggots on there.
Those are really cool.
But the thing is,
How do you treat those?
they're just well, first they're freeze dried. You can pick them up in the pet food section at Walmart.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
And
So there's no risk of having it deteriorate on the
they
actual.
sell it as chicken feed.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Okay. We're learning all the secrets, friends. We're getting the absolute behind the scenes here. This is great. I'm having a blast.
But to treat like insect or bugs or stuff, it's just a matter of making sure you get 100% coverage with like some kind of epoxy that completely seals it in. No oxygen, no, it won't deteriorate. I've got some maggots that I use a 5-minute epoxy that I completely cover it in, and I've got builds that are over 2 years old that look like they were just poured in. So
Nice. Nice. That's really cool, man. That is a really unique use of, I guess, mixed media is what I would call that. That is really cool. Wow.
well, it actually broke down to a fact of laziness.
Mhm.
um, I did actually purchase Green Stuff's roller maker, and I was trying to make my own maggots and worms and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then it was like I was literally went to Walmart to pick up some cat food, and I walked down the wrong aisle and I saw the bag of maggots, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I can use that." And it just wound up being easier to do it. I can pick a few maggots out of the bag, seal them in epoxy, and then because I was throwing them in like little like pools and puddles of gore and stuff anyway. So
Sure. Yeah. That seems like necessity was the mother of creation on that part.
no, this one it was just me being lazy,
Oh yeah. Right. Sure.
and they're already the right color. I
Right.
didn't have to
Right.
paint them.
Nice. Nice. So one other thing that I thought I'd bring up is a lot of your work really reminds me of the stop motion film from Phil Tippett's. Have you ever
Oh,
seen Mad God?
Ray Howard, yeah, from like Clash of the Titans from the '80s, and the Harryhausen films. Oh,
Have you ever seen Mad God by Phil Tippett's?
no.
Oh, I feel like it's totally up your alley, man. It's one of those it is what you make it films. It's all stop motion. A lot of the scenery in there though screams dirty basement terrain to me. I think you can rent it for less than, or you can I think you got to buy it, but it's like less than $10 online. I think you can find it other ways in more devious circles for cheaper, next to nothing, if you search the right things. But it really screams a lot of your work, and I just that macabre nature of some of the stuff that you built that really kind of came out. And I was just curious if you had seen some of that.
No.
I I saw an interview with Phil Tippett's for this particular movie. It took like almost 10 years to make this film
Oh wow.
because it all is live action or stop motion.
Yeah.
And he designed and built all of the models himself. And he takes you on a tour of his workshop. One of the things he uses is like cat lint from the vacuum cleaner. And he's got all of these strange boxes labeled with just the most outlandish places you'd think to find, like torn up tissue paper. I mean, I guess is one that's like, yeah, I could see that in a workshop like this. Vacuum lint from a cat. That, and he did, um, broken up dog food bits, like just the weirdest things. I feel like it's totally up your alley. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out, man. It's really cool.
I will have to check that out. Sounds good.
It is. It is. It's a very artistic piece. As far as I can tell, it's essentially a visual representation of pain in some senses, as well as like it's got some subtle hints on various human topics in there as well. But just a beautifully represented piece of movie goodness for you. Um, so do you happen to have any insight into what might be on its way to Canada? Anything that you're willing to maybe let slip a little bit?
Uh, there's some miniatures that are making its way up, but
Oh, you
as
got
far
some
as
minis. All right, cool.
Oh yeah. Okay, he's not on, so screw it. I don't care.
Oh, sick. Nice. Nice.
No. Yeah, it's
I
Dusty.
dig
Hold
it.
on.
All right, cool, cool.
This was actually like the last time I made. I mean, other than the maggot golem, when I was still making my own maggots.
Right. Okay,
Look
gotcha.
cool, but
Gotcha.
I have since switched over
Now
to
you've
real
got an
maggots.
easier,
But
faster way of doing it,
and
right?
here,
Yeah.
yeah, and here's an example of the whole playability versus and aesthetics thing. I could have made the stair steps here much smaller, and they would have looked better, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But I wanted to make sure the stair steps were wide enough that a mini could stand on them, just barely, but they could still do it. And it breaks
Sure.
down to
Sure. Yeah.
I had to make sure the playability factor was there.
Right. Right. Yeah, that is definitely a sick piece, man. I am hoping, I've got my fingers crossed to get up there in October. Hopefully everything outside of gaming doesn't, prevent me from getting there, if you kind of catch my
Yeah, don't
drift.
tell the border guards that you're there to sell something.
I'm not. No, 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 no. You don't tell them either, because I'm not. No, I'm just going there to go hot tubbing with a minister or something. I don't know. I'm gonna spin him a wheel, I guess. But yeah, I'm hoping to get up there. So I'm super excited to see that. It was a pretty big highlight while I was there last time, seeing some of your stuff there, and just because it's one of those things that you see these uh you know physical things from somebody that you only know through pixels. It's a very humanizing thing, for sure. um Beyond just meeting the folks there, and it was kind of like I was able to kind of meet Lawrence from all the way up in Canada. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sending all the mushrooms I built recently. I'm sending
the baby head blood fountain, the necromancer tower. I'll probably send up the maggot golems as well.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So, I was wondering, when you're, you kind of start with your plan and you go through the build process. When you get to the end of it, like how does it feel for you? Like, do you, you are you happy that it's done? Do you relish the process more than the actual start to finish? Like, how does it feel to go through a build with you?
I enjoy the process more than finishing it, honestly.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, because once it's done, 99.999% of its life, it's just going to sit on a shelf.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that.
So,
Right.
it's not going to a game store. So, most of it. I mean, I used to give my stuff to the local game store once I was done using it or whatever, but now it's just, I ship it up to Canada.
Right. Right.
But
I
for the most
I think
part,
we
it's the build, it's the process of making it that's more enjoyable than the completion is like, hey, that looks cool. Okay, next.
right. Right. I hear that. I hear that. That's I think we share a little bit of that together too. Um, I at some point I plan on releasing some hand painted models for the general public to pick up soon. If they want whatever I've painted. But for the most part, for me, it's just been kind of that same kind of conundrum. I don't want it to to sit on a shelf and just kind of hang out. I want it to go and see the light of day, bring some joy. Have
Yeah,
people have fun with it. So I can totally understand that. Um, Especially something you put so much time and effort into. Like
yep,
I can see how that's rewarding as well.
yeah. I mean, like again, yeah, I keep some stuff for in use in games and whatnot, but overall, it's just okay. Yeah, okay. I'm done building now. What am I building next? So just if other people can get enjoyment on it, that's great. And if it helps someone out, run a convention, even better.
Right. So, do you have a local game group that you're with? Is it just a bunch of buddies, or like at your house, or do you
There's a
what's
local store, um, Comic Store West in York,
nice?
PA. They've been around for 30, little over, just over 30 years now, I think. Um, they run theme nights every week. I think Fridays is like it's minute fantasy miniature or it's miniature wargaming nights. So I think Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays is RPGs. Yeah, they run different games. That was my go-to store from that I would spend every single Friday night in for like 15 years straight.
Nice. It's always good to find a place to call home in with the brick and mortar department on
Yeah,
that side of things. Yeah.
I mean, could I mean, it's the only place I go to buy like most of my paints and I mean, for miniatures and stuff. Of course, then there's the big blue box W store to get all my craft paints from.
Right. Right.
But no, I try and buy all my paints from brick and mortar. I don't really order online for it. Now I
Mhm.
understand some people, they have to order online because their local closest game store is maybe like an hour drive, and it's like no, I
Yeah.
get that, but I personally have, let's see, one, two, three. I think I have like 5 game stores within a half hour drive.
That's not bad. That's
Yeah.
really not bad. That's good.
So I have only two. There's two that I go to, but the main one, Comic Store West in York, Pennsylvania, is where I go to.
Gotcha.
It's been my go-to for 20 plus years, and I got no reason. I've even helped them move more than once.
Nice, nice. So, out of curiosity, do you have you thought about putting up any tutorials on doing hex base terrain? I know that you're out of it, but I do have a relative who's in the chat who's like all over Heroscape. And have you ever thought about maybe going over a little bit of some of that hex based stuff, because like Heroscape's all that hex based kind of terrain thing similar to like BattleTech. And I have a
There
feeling that
is
if I
a
could
dead
learn some secrets, he would be like barking up a tree to have me try it out.
there is a dead channel that I used to have. It's like 14 years old at this point, I think, called Wemick. Tell him to put it next time he's on YouTube. Put in a search engine Wemic 9, WEMIC 9, and tutorials on making the hex terrain will come up.
Okay, gotcha.
And don't complain about the cigarettes I'm smoking, in the video.
Right.
'Cause I've already had people do that because I don't care.
Nice. Okay, gotcha. Well, I put it in the chat for everybody else
Yeah.
to, check out should they be, kind of interested.
Pretty confident.
The comeback of gridded and hex based game systems, that's been something that I've been scratching my head at a little bit. I really wanted
The
to make
hex-
some terrain for just 2 seconds here. I really wanted to make some terrain for Halo Flashpoint that I got recently,
Okay.
but I realized that like their whole system it's grid based, and
Yeah.
that's kind of tough. Like, how do you make a grid base on terrain that you want to be aesthetically pleasing, or like hexes? That's got to be you know. But they're coming back. They're coming back. A lot of people are buying into them.
Actually, let's see if I can post this here. Okay, I found one of the. It's a two-parter, but here this is a link to part 2 of the hex video.
Oh, nice. Do it up, man. Are you throwing it in the Discord or whatever? I'll link it too, if you want it out there.
It's in the chat.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Nice. All right. Yeah, man. So, what? I know you're painting some models now. And you've got like a frost giant, but what else is on your to-do list for mini painting? Out of curiosity. Just that guy right now?
Well, there is a dragon that I'm currently working on during live streams whenever I, Jabberwock dragon.
Oh, dang. Yeah, that's definitely
That's
a
from
dragon.
Loot Studios.
Wow.
I kind of went a little overboard with printing stuff out when I first got my 3D printer.
Hey, that more the merrier, right? I was gonna ask about that here in like a minute. I know you got that 3D printer. I guess we'll just break that. Let's bust that open.
Yeah.
So I already have dull rusty knife. So relative of mine asking for goat horn baby doll head blood waterfall hex terrain. I guess I'll
that would
put
be
that on
easy.
the to-do list. But how's the 3D printing going? Like you got it, and like how has that changed some of your workflow now? Are you thinking about adding 3D printed parts to your projects?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it will save a little bit of effort for doing like doors and windows and stuff like that. Which, yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna use do that. But as far as full blown terrain pieces, I mean, maybe a water fountain or here or there that I'll throw on the table. But I've mainly been just cranking out the miniatures because
Nice.
I mean I first bought an Anycubic MS5 Pro, but there was a problem with the light source, and I had to send that back. And I'm now currently using an Anycubic MS7, which is just a little bit bigger machine, but um, it's oh god, the only thing that's really stopped me from printing is running out of resin.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But think the main thing with the printing is, back in the day, it's like, I love dragons, fucking love them,
right.
but they were so damn expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
I could never bid anything more than like, maybe a young dragon.
Hmm.
But for the cost of a $10 monthly subscription and about $2.50 worth of resin, I mean, right there you go.
That's pretty hot. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I've got about like I've got like six dragons waiting to be painted over on my shelf.
So how have you found because I've got this red bit that you see on the camera. I've got a printer. I've got a
Yeah.
printer. Now
Okay.
it's a Saturn S from Elegoo. Um
Okay.
so
I think that's what my boss has.
it's a really nice printer. I have yet to use it because honestly, I mean, I look at YouTube tutorials and kind of stuff like that, but I have a little bit of a fear about me when it comes to like the actual handling the resin. How do you handle? Do you wear gloves? Like I'm guessing, is this in the basement that you use
Nitro
this
gloves. Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
Okay, and so and the ventilation down here,
Well,
I
I
don't
have
really have a lot of circulation is part of it that I'm a little wary to like use it, but like it's if you're using it and it's not really bothering you, then I guess I that's the last thing I got to check off my list to of things to really ask people that do that kind of
um
printing.
I mean, I always have the fan going and a window, window venting it, but also I have a carbon filter slash heater that Anycubic sells inside the hood,
Mm,
which basically filters out a lot of the harmful, helps get rid of some of the fumes.
okay. All right.
I mean, it literally sits inside back behind the bill plate
Okay.
and the tub, and it just starts sucking and it's got a carbon filter. It just sucks all the fumes in,
Mm,
gets the worst of it out.
okay.
Now, the only time that I really notice the smell is when I pull the hood off.
Okay. Sure. And you just use some, I generally use these uh blue nitrile babies.
Yep.
Something similar for
Yep.
yourself too. I assume.
I mean, I'm in real life, I'm a construction inspector, and my hands are in like wet concrete more often than, I can really count. So
Right.
crap stuff on my hands doesn't really bother me
Gotcha.
much.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, cool beans. Thanks for kind of walking me a bit through that. Um. Well, I've had the lovely pleasure of being here with Lawrence from Dirty Basement Terrain for the past hour, and I don't want to use up your entire night. I could sit here and yak with you for ever and a day, man. But I'm sure I should probably let you go and enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. And Lawrence, it's been far too long. I'm sorry it's been
Yes.
it's been so long since I've had you on, but I want to have you on again sometime soon, man. It's always great to talk to you, and well, it's great to talk to you now. I mean, it's great to talk to you over the chat too. You know, I'll sometimes pop in and stop by and say hi, and but you're a lovely personality, and thank you very much for
Thanks.
dropping in and being a part of PML tonight.
If anyone happens to be in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area next July 19th and 20th, there is a convention, Historicon 2020. It's a historical miniatures gaming convention. I will be there.
I was gonna say, yeah, plug away, please. Anything else you wanna talk about with
I mean, I, that's the only thing I really got the plug because I'm not going there to sell or basically hawk the channel. I'm just going there and wandering around and stealing ideas for terrain.
Sure, sure. Okay. All right.
I like to go to that convention because they have this really killer flea market, and I pick up so many bargains there.
Flea market, like, do they have just like old sets of things, or like what kind of stuff do they kind of have there? Is it all gaming paraphernalia
Uh,
or other things or what?
it basically gamers trying to sell off the stuff they're never going to use.
Sure. Sure. Gotcha.
I mean, I could the last box that I sent up to the dungeon minister, full of miniature, unpainted, like Reaper Bones miniatures, I all picked up at this flea market.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Cool. Cool.
But then I got the 3D printer, and now I'm I can print out stuff.
Gotcha. All right. All right. Well, yeah, thanks again for being part of PML tonight, Lawrence. And
Hey, no
yeah,
problem.
yeah, I look forward to seeing what comes from Dirty Basement in the future here. And I can't wait to see what that frost giant looks painted too. Like, I'm a paint nerd. I got to say it. Um
Oh yeah.
but yeah, yeah, thank you very much for your time. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bounce you out and just say bye to the chat. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you on again. Would you come back for another interview down the road?
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
All right, man.
It was fun.
Well, again, go ahead and check out Lawrence at Dirty Basement Terrain, and go ahead and find his affiliate link for the PML shop, or go and support him. Do what you do best, and uh, give him some funds to like keep doing the baby dolls and the crazy, creepy, fun stuff. So, all right, Lawrence. Well, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Have
Take
fun in
care.
alternative source for baby doll. Yep. See ya.
Bye. Man, what a great interview. Lawrence is such a great guy. What a personality. I mean, I feel like I've gotten to know him over the course of like the last year or two since I've been introduced to him, and he's just a great personality, a great person to be around. In the live, even in the live chat, he's just always eager to answer questions and to bring more people into the hobby and to show his passion for the things that he likes to do. So thank you all for being here. And I hope to see you again in the next one. I'm probably going to be off for the weekend. I got a few real life things to take care of, but thank you again for being part of PML tonight. And we'll be back to some more model painting hopefully next week. All right.